guys to help this guy out here. Without further ado, let's bring in our guy, Big Z, Zander Krause.
What's up, Big Sills?
How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. How you doing?
How much impact do you think Jihaad Campbell has this year?
Cooper DeJean, he comes in after week 4 and has an impact after that. But I think it's going to take a little bit longer than we're thinking. And week 4, incoming Jihaad Campbell, Vic Fangio's newest weapon.
So a guy who had a hamstring injury in Cooper DeJean versus a guy who took shrapnel in the Korean War, coming in with 2 shoulders and 2 knees, is going to have more of an impact, and he's not going to go through training camp. From what does John say about that, about training camp? Because Howie doesn't think he's going to be ready for training camp even.
I don't think he's doing training camp. I don't think he'll be ready for training camp. I think you're talking week 4. It's where I came from. I think it's week 4. I think it's going to be
but
not
Cooper
quite
played.
week 1. What's that?
Cooper was in camp during.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah,
he wasn't.
He got hurt in the Ravens game.
Sills. Cooper
got hurt in
DeJean.
the Ravens preseason game.
Sills. Cooper was not in training camp.
He got hurt in the Ravens preseason game.
Is that right?
Yes. He played in that Ravens game.
No, during off-season training. He missed the first 3 weeks of training camp. Wrong.
He played in the Ravens. He played in that Ravens preseason.
No, Sills. No, he didn't. No.
Guys, look it up. He played.
I just looked it up. I'm reading it to you.
I saw him in the game.
No, you didn't, Sills. It's a figment of your imagination. You must have been dreaming about it the other night when you were thinking about the birds.
Here, look at it. Did Cooper DeJean? He did.
No.
Did Cooper DeJean play in that Ravens preseason game? Did Cooper DeJean play in that Ravens preseason?
Is correct.
Preseason game. Yes, Cooper DeJean did play in the preseason game against the Ravens. He made his preseason debut on August 24th, 2024.
That was after he got back from the
hamstring
thing?
Yep.
And then what? He tweaked it again?
No, they didn't feel he was ready to rock, and they wanted to keep him out, and they kept him.
Hey, listen, if you're right, you're right. I didn't think he played. Howie kind of set that narrative up to this week, when he was like, well, Cooper DeJean, same thing happened last year. So I know he didn't play, obviously, the most meaningful games, which was the first 4 games of the year. But
no, if you remember right, they played him a little bit, and they didn't feel he was back all the way. And what they did was they held him, and then they put him in after the bye. I think that was Minnesota. Was that right? I can't remember. Or was that Cleveland? I can't remember the game that was after
I don't remember last year's preseason that well.
No, I just remember
you're talking about the
first time. That was the first time I saw Cooper on the field.
Cleveland. It was Cleveland. Week 5.
Okay, it was Cleveland.
Yeah, it was Cleveland.
Okay.
After bye week.
So he had a little bit of preseason, but not. Look, dude. If I'm not mistaken, I think that Ravens game was actually the last week before the regular season, right? So he didn't really have a lot of preseason. Right, because I agree with you. He got hurt, but this guy.
I know he missed most of training camp though. He didn't do training camp,
so he's not going to do OTAs mini, and he's not going to do training camp. So he's going to be further behind here a little bit.
Probably, yeah, probably. But listen, if he's a damn good player, imagine if we judged Cooper DeJean on where he was in the training camp last year. You know what I mean? He was a huge impact for our defense. Now, I'm not saying Jihaad's going to have that level of impact, but I do think he's that good of a player. So if it translates to the NFL, I don't think you're worried too much about him missing time early. I will say that I'm a little bit like you. You spend a first-round pick on a guy, and then a couple days later, it's like 2 knees, 2 shoulders. Like, what? Like, you're running out of limbs to hurt.
And my problem is they're not really identifying what they're and how they're going to use them. You know, I mean, I'd be like, okay, so you're going to put him off ball, you're going to put him where?
Yeah, but John keeps telling me off ball, but he's not going to be the middle linebacker.
Okay, so then where are you playing him?
That's my point about the whole gimmick thing. But I don't know. I guess you're lining him up on the outside in a joker and in all sorts of those different sub packages. I mean, look, Vic does live in sub packages way longer than he lives in base. So maybe that's more important. But I've been saying, who is coming off the field? Is it Jalix Hunt? Like, who comes off the field to get Jihaad Campbell on the field? Let's just say right now, okay, you're in a 3-4. You got Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Moro Ajomo, Nolan Smith, and Jalix Hunt are your front five. You got you got Bond and Dean. Let's just say Dean's healthy for the sake of the conversation as your linebackers, your two safeties, and your two corners. Who comes off the field for Campbell?
Are you playing
Jalix? Right?
Are you playing a nickel?
I'm assuming.
Okay. Yeah. So your front four is Carter, Davis, Moro Jomo, and Nolan Smith in your nickel. Your second level is Q, Cooper, Bond, N'Kobe at the will, and Keeley at the other corner. And your two high are Reed and Christian McCullum. Where are you putting the kid? You going to put him in for Dean? Or are you going to put him in for
Dean
Nolan?
Or Jalix Hunt? No.
Well, Jalix Hunt's not going to start in nickel. Remember, it's 5 DBs.
Yeah, right. 5 DBs in nickel.
See, look, that's what I'm saying about him. That's a nickel. That's your nickel right now.
Yeah, and that's what we spend way more time in nickel than we do anything else.
70% of the time. So my question would be, your end is Carter. It's Davis at nose. It's Jomo at tackle. And your end is Nolan. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that's the 11 personnel that you have here. And so I would ask you, I'd go, okay, I mean, where are you putting him? Are you going to bring
Bob says he goes in for Nolan, better in coverage. Yeah, I figured it would be one of the front guys, though.
You're going to take Nolan out?
You're going to take Cooper DeJean off the field?
Okay. No, I'm not taking him out. I'm not dropping him in the nickel.
Okay, so who are you taking off the field?
N'Kobe Dean. And I'm putting Campbell.
Does that give you as much versatility, though, with the player?
I don't know that. Like,
now you're only rushing him if you're blitzing.
Bro, I agree. That's a great comment by you because look at here. I don't know if he's as versatile as N'Kobe.
Yeah, but Curtis is also right. That would mean Nolan's on the bench 70% of the snaps.
Where are you playing him? That's why I'm asking here. I looked up the nickel personnel for the
No, you're right. You hit the nail on the head with the nickel personnel.
Where are you playing him? Are you really going to take Nolan Smith out?
This is what I've been trying to get out of John. You worded it better than I did, so I didn't get it out of John. Got to go back to him on this.
See, look.
By the way, speaking of John, we're going to do by the way, everybody's excited about the rookies. So we're going to do a rookie report tonight, 6 p.m. All right. Probably 6 p.m., but maybe a little earlier, depending on.
Tell me if I'm wrong with what I've lined up here for you.
Coop, who do you have on the defensive line? Do you have Jordan Davis up there? I can't really read.
I got Jordan Davis at the nose.
You got Davis, Carter, Nolan, and
Moro Jomo.
Okay.
And then your second level is Nolan Smith. Okay, up to your second level is Ringo, Dean.
I think you're taking off one of those edge rushers. You're moving Jomo to the middle, get Jordan Davis out of there, and put Campbell as one of the front four.
So you would put Campbell over at the Jomo rush.
Yeah, but Jomo should be probably where Jordan Davis is. Because Jordan Davis is probably Jordan Davis isn't in a node and he's not playing nose and nickel, right?
No, but again, remember 1, 2, 3, 4. When you play a 4-2-5, that's a nickel. That's nickel defense. The second level has 5 DBs, and you're too high.
Right.
Okay, that's Reed, and as of right now, Tristan McCullum. Okay.
No, it's not Tristan McCullum. It's Sidney Brown before. It's not going to be Tristan McCullum.
That's who Vic likes.
Sidney was hurt last year.
I think Christian McCullum's a better ball player.
Okay, you do, but that's not who it's going to be on the depth chart.
Okay, Sidney Brown.
They didn't sign Andrew Makuba or draft Andrew Makuba, and people are like, who's going to play, Tristan McCullum or Makuba? No, it's Sidney Brown or Makuba.
Let's put Makuba back there.
Okay, good. Go Makuba. I think Makuba wins that job anyway. Sidney Brown doesn't impress me as a safety.
Okay, my point again is, okay, so Makuba and Reed are your two highs. You're taking a spot of CJ. Your corners are Q. Your nickelback is Cooper DeJean. Your Mike is Zach Bond. Your Will is Dean. And your outside guy is Keely Ringo over there at the corner. Down here in your front four, it's Carter, Davis, Ajomo, and Smith. Where the fuck you playing this guy?
Yeah, this is my question. Are you playing him on the front? Are you playing him in the front four? That's the only spot I see to put him in.
I think they're going to play him at the Nakobe spot in nickel. But I don't believe.
Yeah, but isn't Nakobe the middle linebacker in nickel?
I don't know. Where are they playing him? You know, I heard John.
Yeah, this is where I think is honestly probably likely. Brandon says, I'm moving Bond to middle linebacker and moving Campbell in at off ball or weak side, whatever.
So you're benching Nakobe, who was good on 3 downs? Are you sure Jihaad Campbell's a 3-down player?
No, I'm not sure, but I'm sure that Nakobe Dean is.
I know that, right? I know Nakobe shows me that he's a 3-down guy.
Well, at the end of the year last year, Nolan Smith was a 3-down guy too. He was good against the run.
Okay. Bro, I'm not arguing anything. I'm asking.
I'm not. I know. I'm in agreement with you in that. I think this is a complicated addition to the defense. It's not just like Josh Sweat's gone, so you slot in a new edge. It's not like that.
Right. I mean, your front four, as of right now, is Carter, Davis, Moro Ajomo, and Nolan Smith. If we're talking nickel here, you're going to go 5.
Drozone's interesting because he says it's simple. No, not that. Sorry, Drozone. Wrong one. Callie Green says Fangio could use him as a blitz wild card. Yeah, but then are you only getting him on the
for who?
No, but then you're talking about like super sub packages. Now he's barely going to be on the field.
Where you can put in Alex Hunt in this nickel package? You got
coming off of wait a second. Coming off of our defense last year, okay, and how good it was and what they ran to be successful. Could you make an argument that Vic Fangio made a mistake wanting an Andrew Van Ginkel? Because it's kind of, in a way, based on the way we're looking at this, isn't it a little bit going to blow up some of the structure that he had on last year's defense and force him to, go to different sub packages? Now, you could make the argument it makes him more versatile, but
okay,
how much more versatile do we need to get when we were the number 1 defense in football?
Do you believe right now here's where I'm going. Do you believe that they are 1,000% sold on Nolan Smith?
Nolan Smith, 1,000% sold? No, he's played 9 good games.
How much? On a scale of 1 to 10, do you think they're sold on it?
Well, I think there's a curve on his grade inside the organization simply because they like draft picks. They like, homegrown guys, and they did just let a bunch of defensive linemen walk out the door. I'd like to think that they want to keep, some of these young dudes around for a while. So I think 60%, I think they're 60% of the way there.
Okay, then let's do this. Why not put Nolan Smith at the will for Nakobe Dean and drop your guy, Jihaad Campbell or Jalix Hunt on that other end in your nickel?
You think Nolan Smith can cover like Dean, though?
Well, I think he's shown versatility like it.
He's definitely shown versatility, but Nakobe Dean, I mean, he's not that bad in coverage. Now, he's not great, but nobody's great at linebacker.
You said something today. This is where this topic came from. Once again, expanding your topic.
Yeah, you're good at this.
Okay? You go like this. Josh Sweat wasn't the best guy on the planet at pass rushing. He wasn't the best run stopper. He wasn't really all that hot when it came drop it in coverage. But you know what he was good at, and what the Eagles were the best across the board. They had the best personnel, the most versatile personnel of any football team defensively in the league last year, because they didn't have to go to substitute packages, and they were never caught with their pants down on the field, because they could sit there and go 4-2-5, 43, 34. They could do so many different things, because every guy on the field, except for one guy, that was Jordan Davis, was a 3-down player. Do you not agree? Every guy you had on the team, the field last year defensively, was a 3-down guy.
Yeah, for the most part. That's why Bryce Huff barely played at the end of the year, because he wasn't a 3-down guy, so Vic went away from him.
That's right. Okay.
And the only time they really used Jordan was when they went in the 5-man front, which was rare.
And there's only 3 question marks on my lineup here that are questionable. And if they're 3-down guys, Keely Ringo, well, the rookie kid, okay, and Nolan Smith. If you want to go traditional, there's a bunch of them. You're going to play left end. Moro Jomo, for me, that's your nickel guy, because he's a better as of right now, than Ty Robinson. I just had a big question after listening to you guys. Well, where the fuck are you playing this guy? I mean, if he, because you said it. Okay, well, and the gadget comment, it's not, I know what you meant. You're like this. Are you going to have to create a new position for the guy on this defense to utilize his skill set like they did back in the day with Hugh Douglas, when Jim Johnson made that role for him back? Because he didn't play.
I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this philosophy of going away from what you just did so well, just to draft a gadget guy. Whatever, even if he's not a gadget guy, even if he's the greatest gadget guy in the world and who can play 100% of the snaps, how much do you have to change the defense to get to that?
Again,
how much? I'm asking you. What do you think?
Well, I got to first figure out where he's going to play.
Well, where do you see him playing? You taking Dean off the field?
Yeah. That's the only
that makes the most sense.
That's right, because, hey, dude, do you think that guy can
what if I told you this? And I know this is an unproven right now. What if I told you it works out really well with the player and he's really good at getting to the quarterback? That changes who you take off the field, no?
I'm taking Smith off the field.
Smith?
Are you going to take Jalen Carter?
No. Okay. What about the other 2 defensive linemen? You got Jomo and Davis out there.
You're gonna move Jihaad Campbell inside.
No, outside. A Jomo and Carter in the middle.
Well, wait a minute. Remember, you got to stay inside the scheme of a nickel. You can't just start adding guys and putting a position. That's the fundamental scheme of a nickel defense.
Yeah, so you have 2 edges there, though.
Right. Carter and Smith.
Well, you can't move Carter inside? Because there's not really a nose in nickel.
Okay, so you want to move him for Davis, and then
wait, answer me this, and you know this better than I do.
Okay.
When you're in nickel, you don't have a nose, right? You have 2-3 techniques, basically.
Yes.
That's what I'm viewing. A Jomo Carter.
Carter's off.
Now I have Nolan on the edge.
Davis
Campbell on the other edge.
You're right.
Right? Am I reading that right?
No, you're right. What you would do is you would slide Carter inside to Davis, Carter. And then you would drop Jihaad or Jalix Hunt out here, and those would be your pass rushers. A Jomo and Carter, and then right here, you're going to have, again, that's another substitute package.
Right.
See, that's what Sweat,
Xander.
You
really got to change up a lot for this, man. Unless there also might be a scenario
A year ago, you didn't.
Are we giving Moro Jomo too much credit? I mean, he's guaranteed out on that field.
He's a better pass rusher. Well, who else are you going to play?
He's a way better pass rusher than Jordan Davis. That's the issue with, and here again lies the issue with the Jordan Davis conversation, right? Because if he's that good of a player, you're paying him that money, and then he can be your guy even when you have a 4-man front. But right now, it doesn't make sense to have Jordan Davis on the field if you have a 4-man front.
Look at here. All right, Prince. That's a nickel scheme. Where are you playing him? You're going to slide Carter inside, and you're going to put him at that defensive end spot? Jihaad Campbell?
Prince saying no, we don't to?
He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. That's why.
What are you saying? No, we don't to, Prince? No, we don't what?
No, right. I'm only asking the question. Where are you playing him?
He's saying this. He's saying we're overcomplicating it, and we're
No,
moving
I'm not.
Sweat for either Campbell or
How
Hunt.
am I over?
That's basically what I just said, Prince. Move the guys in, move the tackles inside, and put.
Overcomplicating what? I'm asking you where you're playing them. And so I'm saying this. A year ago, you didn't have to go and have multiple substitution packages. Why? Because Sweat could do it all. So could Milton. Now you have to change up, moving out Davis and sliding down Carter and bringing either Hunt or Jihaad Campbell.
Well, no, because you replaced Josh Sweat with the Jomo.
Making what up? How is that a fucking makeup when that's your lineup for nickel, dickhead?
I know, but Sills, what are you not getting what they're saying? They're saying put him on the outside.
Okay. So
on the edge. On the edge.
Okay, so Davis is coming off the field 70% of the time.
Yes, he's already off the field 70% of the time. He played 35% of the snaps last year.
So now, and here's what you did last year. You slid Carter in. Josh still stayed there. Milton stayed there. You didn't have as many substitution packages that you're going to have this year. In your front seven. Am I right?
So what, let me ask you, what seed of doubt are you planting on this?
I'm asking you. I mean, do you not agree? You're asking a couple guys. You're going to have two guys play one position on Milton and also on Sweat and replacing these men because those guys stayed on the field and they were 3-down players. Moro Jomo's really not a 3-down guy. And you got to take Davis off the football field. And you got to hope that Jihaad Campbell, with no training camp, is going to go out there and he's going to be an edge setter in there at defensive end where Carter's going to slide inside.
It's fair to say this. We are relying on either Jalix Hunt or Jihaad Campbell to be able to fill the shoes of Josh Sweat, right? He's gone. And then obviously you need a tandem of a Jomo and Davis to be what Milton Williams was. But in a way that already fits, that already works itself out because last year Davis wasn't an every down player. So the interior of the defensive line already worked itself out last year. That rotation doesn't change other than the players. A Jomo moves up. Robinson probably falls into where a Jomo was last year. And then you have Davis as the nose, Carter as the other tackle, and probably Thomas Booker. But last year, Jalen Carter played almost all the snaps. So if he's able to do that again, really you're just having a rotation between Davis, a Jomo, and Booker and Robinson.
With all the new faces that have not been in your building, how long do you think that thing takes to cook?
Well, I mean, we thought it was going to take a long time last year, and technically we had more moving parts last year.
But those guys were all in the building last year for 3 or more.
Well, the guys on the front, yes, not the secondary guys, So the secondary has more continuity this year. Well, you lost Slay and you lost Gardner Johnson. Really, don't really have much continuity there either. So
you lost half your D line and you lost half of your secondary. Yes.
Okay. If you bring up that diagram one more time, and you don't have to, but I'm just saying, if you think about it one more time, there it is. And let's say Nakobe Dean's not ready for week 1. Who do you have replacing him on that? Because that also throws a wrench on, do you want to just replace Nakobe Dean with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. or Smile Munden? Or do you now want to play Campbell back there and keep Jalix Hunt on the field?
This is why I think Vic this weekend and this training
gives you good versatility.
But you won't know that throughout the entire OTAs or mini camp and training camp of what to do with Campbell yet because you don't know where he fits. You have you're only drawing it up on a painting right now on where he might fit.
Yeah, I know.
You've got to see him being able to comprehend this, and if he is even a guy who you can put out there and trust at the defensive end position that can set the edge. That's not his natural position. He was an off-ball linebacker inside. When you watch those Baldinger clips of him, dude, he ran to the football exceptionally. He's a really good-looking football player, and I like the guy. So now you're going to ask him to go out because you believe in his ability to go out and play end and set that edge and probably play on the strong side against tackles and tight ends. Coming off of a shoulder and 2 knee injuries, you're asking him to go out there and set an edge. Okay.
I agree with you. That's an uphill battle. But here's what I will say. I don't think it has anything to do with the talent of the player.
I know.
I think this player is going to exceed expectations from a talent and a player standpoint, very much so. My concern with him is how much does the injuries hinder until he can get to that point? Last year with Cooper DeJean, it was the first 4 weeks. How much is it going to be with Campbell? Is it 3 weeks? Is it 1 week? Is he ready for week 1? Especially with no training camp you're talking about. So how much longer, remember, DeJean missed training camp last year. We kind of said that 3 weeks of training camp he missed, factor in 3 weeks of the season he's going to miss. So is it the same with Campbell? I don't know what it's going to be, but I think when he gets ready, I think he's going to make that defense maybe even better. But the only thing I don't like about it is how much do you have to change what you did last year to get him on the field? That would be my biggest question with him right now.
There's a lot of change because you're going to have multiple substitution packages here. But I would say this to you, brought something up. How much do you think Nolan Smith and with Nakobe Dean, that injuries have played a factor in their time with the Eagles, let alone the fact that we'll just not even mention their ability? How do you think that's played a factor in their time so far in Philadelphia? Because nobody's questioning Dean and Smith. Nobody's really questioning the fact that they can play. They're all talking about undersized ends, which Vic brings up every press conference, and Dean's availability. And also, now you're talking about another guy, not talking about ability. Nobody's talking about ability with these 3 players. Okay? We're talking about availability. Can you build the defense around 3 players that you have question marks on health?
I think Dean's going after this year. I do. I don't think he fits.
Not because he's not good.
Either. No, but it's because can't stay healthy. One, and I don't think it's only that. Milton Williams was good. We didn't keep him here. Why? Well, the puzzle didn't break his way, right? Jalen Carter's going to get paid similar to how Zach Bond got paid last year. I think that Nakobe Dean could be a first-team All-Pro this year, and which he's not going to be. But and he wouldn't get paid here because they already paid Bond. And now you just drafted Munden, which proves to you they brought in another body, okay, to be another, middle linebacker. They already have Trotter on deck. So you basically have your 1 and your 2 with life after Nakobe Dean. I don't think they pay him long-term. The Nolan Smith question is interesting. Like, let me pose something to you. If he comes out there and puts 12 sacks, I know it's lofty. I understand it's lofty. Okay. But let's just say the next stage of his career, he takes that next step and he's a double-digit sack guy for the Eagles next year. How much are you paying him next year?
Well,
it's a year and a half of production, and he's been injured so far, 3 times?
Yes. He's hurt now.
He's hurt. Yeah, he's coming off he had triceps, whatever it was, after the Super Bowl.
Here, let me ask you that. Wait, let me expand on that. So in the next 2 years, are you addressing Nolan Smith's contract?
You got to. Unless you want to let the edge market go crazy. Or do you play it like Jordan Davis? Pick up the 5th-year option, drag it out for another 3 years, and move on from him after that.
Okay. Are you addressing the Reed Blankenship contract extension?
I think you probably are, because he's the guy who does the communication on the back end for Vic Fangio, and I think Vic values him more than most people think.
Next 2 years. Remember, this is next 2 years.
I know.
Are you addressing Cooper DeJean's contract extension in the next 2 years?
I think 2 years from now, yes. 2 off seasons from now, they'll extend him, because then he'd be going. Remember, he doesn't have the 5th-year option, so he'd be going into his final year. You're probably talking about an extension then.
Okay. Quinyon Mitchell, next 2 years.
I think 3, but yeah.
Okay. Jalen Carter, obviously, this offseason here, right? Okay. So,
Jalen Carter a year from today. Yeah. He'll be next summer.
Nakobe Dean, you got to address it.
He's gone.
Next 2 years.
I don't even think you can pay everybody I just said to pay.
Would you even extend them?
Nakobe?
How about this? He's a 3rd rounder. You don't have to. Okay. So I'm down to 7 for Jordan Davis. The 7th guy that I'm going to address on a contract extension is the 7th guy
Yeah, and if we watch what they're doing, which was draft 5 straight defensive guys in the draft, something would tell me that they're probably going to let more of these guys walk than we think. But who? Who do you feel comfortable letting walk? Again, these are all future problems. It's next year's problem and 2 years from now, but it's still interesting to think about.
But here's the issue. We're talking about something right now the Eagles are looking at right now because of the way that they've acted this offseason, and they've addressed it numerous times in the way they've expressed it to the fan base and to the media on what they're doing for 26 and 27. So when you say that, Zander, we're only doing what the Eagles are addressing. The Eagles are addressing this right now. So that's why we're addressing it right now over the next 2 years. That's why when I say, here, Jordan Davis, there's not a chance in hell he gets a 3-year contract extension. When I got Nolan Smith,
I don't even know how you're going to pay Reed.
Cooper DeJean.
I mean, look, Shady brings up an interesting point, but Shady, this is the question. This is what makes it hard. How far are they going to go? Because right now they've showed you offense is their priority. So are you telling me, Shady, that they're going to flip it, pay the defense, then start drafting 5 straight offensive players to fill the holes with rookie contracts? No way. And by the way, unless Hurts' game goes to shit, he's not going anywhere. In fact, he's probably getting a pay raise next summer.
That's right.
So AJ, I could see, at some point that sizzles.
I think next offseason will be the start of the sand dial starting on his ass.
Brian's also right. Howie's been loading up on picks. 12 picks next year.
Bro, here, check this out. It's funny you should say that. Look at this. Here's the Eagles' picks. They got their own 1. They got their own 2. They got their own 3. They've got the 3rd rounder in the Reddick deal and a projection on Milton Williams, 3rd. So let me tell you right now, just right there, top 3 rounds. You got a 1, a 2, and 3 threes. As of right now. Then you have your own 4. Then you have the projected comp pick for Josh Sweat at 4. You got 2 4s. Then you go 1, 2, 3, 4 5s. Your own, the Texans, the Falcons, and the Mekhi Becton that you're getting on a comp pick in 5. And
yeah, we might lose 1 comp pick, by the way.
Why?
What contract? Yeah, the Becton contract.
Why? What's wrong with that one?
No. No, excuse me. The Adoree Jackson signing. Because we spent $4 million on him. So I think it nullifies the Isaiah Rodgers comp pick or the Becton, one of them.
Maybe the Becton. Okay.
Maybe the Becton. I don't think, we didn't get a comp pick for Isaiah, right? Did we?
No.
It's the Becton comp pick. We're going to lose that one.
And then you get your own 7. So, okay, that out there, we may lose that one, but right now you have 12 picks.
Yeah.
You have 1, 1, 2, 3 3s, 2 4s, 4 5s, maybe 4 4s, 4 5s, and a 7. Bro.
3 3s and 2 4s, man, is really good.
Yeah, because then you can package those up and get into 2s and 3s with those.
Right.
So what I'm telling you is right now, the decision making on these young players, Jordan Davis, Carter is a non-factor. He's off. I'm not even going to keep it because fuck, man, it's a stupid conversation on what you're doing with him because you know what you're doing with him.
Yeah, you're paying him. You're paying him big money.
Yeah, get this. You're giving that guy a check, and then you're saying fill it in. That's what you're doing with him, okay? So Nolan Smith, Reed, you paying Reed 10? And remember what I said?
I don't know how Reed works. I don't think he works into the pie, bro.
Dude, here's what the Eagles are hoping, I think. That Makuba and Brown look great, and they can move off of Reed. Because then you still got Sidney on a rookie deal, and you got Makuba on a rookie deal. And I don't have to pay Reed.
Are you letting Nolan Smith walk?
He can play. And I think Jihaad Campbell I think Jihaad Campbell and Jalix Hunt will dictate that this year. I think if those two guys,
Right. If Jalix Hunt has a sick year and Jihaad Campbell shows he's a
never
player,
in a million years be back.
You don't think they bring back Nolan?
If Jalix Hunt looks like he could take the role, and he was a third-round draft choice, and you still got a couple more years with him, don't let him walk and not address that extension. Now, he was a first-rounder. Maybe you give him. But again, you know what that number is, Zander? It's $23 million.
For what?
Fifth year.
For Nolan?
Yep.
That's not that bad.
When you're paying, okay, so then that may not be that bad. 18 for Jordan and 40 for what's his name? And then 10 for Reed.
Reed's going to have to go.
Reed? Wow.
Well, where does he work playing in? Like, who's easier to replace? At the end of the day, I like Reed, but maybe this is what the plan was at safety. We're overthinking it. We're looking for Sidney Brown's replacement. They're thinking Sidney Brown and Andrew Makuba.
Do you think the Eagles are really looking to replace Dean with Jihaad Campbell?
No. I think they're looking to replace Dean, but it's not like Jihaad Campbell's not just going to be the off-ball linebacker, the middle linebacker. They want him to be what we just explained.
I think so. I think
because dude, he's a very good blitzer.
Yes.
Again, that's rare. Like
great.
Vic doesn't blitz a lot, so don't fall in love with that. But he can do it, and if he shows again that he can get after the quarterback, that really opens up what you can do. Now, if he can't get after the quarterback, the Jihaad Campbell pick is going to be very underwhelming, even if he's a great linebacker.
How much does it do this if that he comes in and he has like a Nolan Smith start to his career?
Well, I think he should be given some of that leeway.
Oh, yes.
Even me included, probably jumped the gun on Nolan too quick, where you got to let him develop. But my problem is with the way the defense is now, if Jalix Hunt isn't good, you need Campbell to play.
Well, see, this is why I said this. I go, the free agent market wasn't great. The draft class looks okay, not great. And then you're turning around and you're going like this. Well, the Eagles lost so many faces and have so many new guys coming in to mini camps and to the rookie camp. Was this the right time to gamble on a guy who had 2 shoulder concerns and 2 knee concerns where you weren't going to have his availability until September?
Well,
do you think that's a big –
you think
for a lot of replacements that you have on your defense, do you think he's getting the benefit of the doubt too much where you needed an impact guy right now, don't you think?
Yeah, all right, but hear me out on this. We cover the team every day. All right, we're in the micro. If you zoom out, all right, and I told you, think about the Chiefs or the Eagles right now, but if you didn't cover it every day. The Eagles added an extremely good football player to a roster that just won the Super Bowl and dominated their way to it. Now, you can go in the micro and say, well, we needed a guy that could play right now because the 2025 team doesn't quite have the contract and all those different things. Or you can say the Philadelphia Eagles, who have been one of the best franchises in football in the last 5 years, who have a core that's 26, 27, 28 years old, just added an elite football player. I think they didn't make the wrong move in adding that player. Now, would it be nice if he was ready to contribute in year 1? Obviously. I think everybody wants that. But I don't think you pass up on this opportunity, Sills. You were picking at 31. They talked about they had under 15 guys as a round 1 grade in this NFL draft, and one of them fell. One of them. There wasn't another one there that they had as a round 1 grade. So do you pass on that player? I think because you're world champions, you look at that and you're like, man, this is like a gift to us. But I get it. I get what you're saying. With 5 losses on the defense, you need some guys who are going to play.
Okay. Well, I asked this question 2 weeks ago to you, and I'll ask it again. Howie Roseman's exact comments on Jihaad Campbell were this. I wrote them down. His exact comments on this player is this. Howie Roseman, the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles, has publicly stated that drafted linebacker Jihaad Campbell is in quotations, there you go there, Jeff McClain, a long-term investment. This suggests that the team anticipates Campbell to be a key player for them for years to come. Not just immediately. Roseman also acknowledged that Campbell might not be ready for the start of training camp and beginning of the season due to his recent shoulder injuries, emphasizing the need for patience and focusing on long-term development. My question to you 2 weeks ago was this, Zander. Sounds like to me, between the contracts and the guy you drafted, they give a shit more about 26 and 27 than they do actually about the immediate 25 season. Because that player, according to how
I don't really think that's
how
true.
he said it. I'm just repeating what he said.
Well, the moves that they made this summer, I agree, will help them more in 26 and 27 than they will in 25. Yeah, but the draft, I mean, you can't look at the draft as I need a guy this year. That's not a bad way to look at a draft, Sileo. Sills, you used to say to me,
year, you don't win the Super Bowl without Q and Cooper being immediate.
Okay, but is that something you can stick to every single year? No, that's an outlier.
I know this.
Well, you used to tell me I'm not grading a draft class till 3 years.
No, but I wanted the kid to be on the fucking practice field for me if
I'm not saying you're wrong about that, but you're now creating an expectation that if he doesn't contribute in year one and it was a bad draft pick, it's not.
No, that's not where I'm at. I'll here, maybe I didn't make it clear enough. I think they kind of care about 25. I think they care more about the future contracts that are pending. I think they care more about their drafting of the first player. Is he a bad player? Absolutely not. I love the kid. I think the kid's a great player. He may not be immediate impact this year on the team. The fucking general manager just said that yesterday.
I'll tell you what they need this year. Because I see what you're saying. The moves they've made on defense are more beneficial to them down the line than they are in the immediate season. I agree with that. They're relying on the $200 million offense this year. That's what they're relying on this year.
Amen.
Last year, you had a big, I'm not going to call it luck, but it's very rare you get an instance where you have that many players, okay, 2 new rookies, a brand new middle linebacker who's never played linebacker before in Zach Baum, Nolan Smith, who was a huge question mark. All of these guys, they all worked. All right. That doesn't happen a lot. It was a beautiful alignment of things last year.
Unreal how it happened.
Unreal. It really is. If you look back at it and you're like, holy crap, I mean, there was a little bit of luck involved. That's just how it works in football. All right. This year, they're back to, remember last year before the season, what we said, this defense is going to be better in 25 than they are in 24. Remember that?
Yeah.
I think we're actually there this year, and they need the offense, which is returning every single player, okay, with a pay raise for Saquon Barkley. They need that offense to be the guy this year, okay? That, whether it's Jalen, whether it's Saquon, I don't care who it is, okay? I don't care who it is, but that offense needs to be better than the defense was last year. And I think if you have that, you have a combination where you could win a Super Bowl and then be also set up for 25, 26, 27. But if the offense isn't ready to take on a little bit more of the burden, I mean, if you split the load up last year in the backpacks, who carried the bigger backpack? The defense had what, 65%? Offense 35? What would you give it? 55, 45, 50, 50? Where would you be? 60, 40?
Something like, I give it 60, 40 because of the run game. The run game was just.
Right, so the offense needs to take 60 this year.
Yeah, they need to be 60-40 this year. That's absolutely correct. I want to show you something here. 2 last ones before. By the way, Jason Cole will join us as he does each and every single Friday. We'll get his perspectives on what he saw this week in the NFL. You know, I heard John say something, and I completely disagree with it when it comes to the tight end market. Bro, Dallas Goedert, I know for a fact, the Jets have Mason Taylor inked in as their starting tight end. The Carolina Panthers need a tight end. They got a guy down there who's got 100 yards and catches. The Rams have a guy, and that Igbe, whatever his name is, this guy's got 190 yards and catches. The Chargers need a tight end, and the Seahawks need a tight end, and the Giants.
The Rams had that dude. What's the other dude the Rams have? That's a pretty good tight end. Higbee?
Yeah, he had 100 yards last year.
Really? Did he get hurt?
Let me see.
He must have got hurt because he's not a bad player.
Let me double check here. I mean,
you might be right about the yardage. Well, I would assume.
Well, he may have been hurt.
He might have been hurt though.
Yeah, he may have been.
Last year he had 66 yards, brother.
Really? Did he?
8 catches last year.
Okay, yeah. Well, the Rams, can you imagine Dallas Goedert on the Rams with Matthew Stafford and with the receivers of Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua?
He's 32 now, Tyler Higbee. They need a tight end bad.
How about him with the Rams? You're telling me that doesn't have a nice look to it?
Look at this dickhead. Senor, or give him the dickhead award for always having a dickhead take. I mean, seriously. Senor, are you under the impression that every single year you're going to have a #1 overall defense?
Yeah, he is.
He is. I think he is. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That's the answer. That's why he's a dumbass.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, he does.
That's not realistic, Senor.
It's not.
I mean, come on, brother. Who gets paid more, Senor?
Hey, again, these are guys that sit there and they look at football cards and they think they can line them up and they're the same thing of putting them on a football roster.
Come on, bro. Your defense is there's a way better chance that your defense is not as good as it was last year than it is as good as last year.
But
you were a historic defense last year.
May have more upside down the line.
I agree. I definitely think it has more upside down the line. I think you have better long-term pieces.
He's got like football cards in his spokes of his front bicycle. And then he's playing football tops.
He claps back. I'm under the impression the Eagles offense cannot carry the team. Well, then we got a problem, Houston. Houston, we got a problem.
That's the first time I've ever heard this guy say anything that was really great. Wait a minute, Senor.
Senorita.
Senor, is this too much lofty expectations? The Eagle offense gets back to Brian Johnson's #8 overall, passing and rushing. And they're not 29th in passing. They got more continuity, and they're the #1. They have to be, in my opinion, in the top 3 in time of possession again this coming season for that defense, because the defense is just not going to be the same.
The offense needs to be what they were in the playoffs last year, all year. Not all year. See, they got to be a good enough team to win enough games, get in the playoffs. Like, I'm not asking you to win 15 games, right? Go be good, get into the dance, and then you need the offense to be what they were last year in the playoffs.
Right. You're not being horrible here. So let me ask you this.
No, he's not. I went too hard on him because now that he's added more context, his take makes more sense.
Which is normal for him. He doesn't. Here, how about this? Can Jalen Hurts?
Sorry, Senor. I love you, buddy.
Can he have this same year, 29-03 and 18 touchdowns?
And well, what is Barkley?
Barkley has $2,000. I mean, he can.
Exactly. It all comes down to Barkley.
So it comes down to Barkley and not Hurts.
Who's gonna be the face of the team next year, in your opinion?
I think it has to be Jalen.
Wait, do you say that because you want? Let me finish.
Okay.
Do you say that because you want Jalen to be that guy? Do you say that because you think it's a natural progression for running backs to have a lesser season when you set records like that, and you think it's basically just obvious you're not going to have 2,500 yards again? Probably not. No running back has done that. Why do you say that?
I think it's all of that, and I don't like to do that, but I don't think the running back is going to look. If this is where I think you have to be. I think Hurts has to be 4,200 yards.
Oh, he's not going to be there.
Wait.
That's not his game.
Wait. Barkley has to be 1,500, or you're going to do this. Barkley 1,700 and Jalen 3,500. It's either one or the other. It's not going to be both. Because you didn't. Because to your take, it wasn't both last year. So, which is it? It's either he has 1,800 yards again, and Hurts has 3,500, or it's Hurts with 4,200 and Barkley with 1,500. It's not going to be both.
I think you get 1,500 from Barkley.
Okay.
I think you get 3,500 passing from Jalen, which is an increase of about 600 yards. It's an increase of about, 15, 20%. I think that's very reasonable.
Is that enough to keep that defense and being allowed that defense to grow with all the?
Well, how effective are those yards, right?
Are
those yards? I mean, how many points do they produce?
Because of the time of possession.
Yeah, but also like you can, Jameis Winston throws 5,000 yards. Not all yards are created equal. If you have an
Oh,
effective 3,500 yards, your turnovers are super low, your touchdown percentage is super high, and you're capitalizing on the yards you are getting. Okay, then those 3,500 yards could really turn the offense into top 3 in the league. But if you're not capitalizing and you're not scoring and you have a bunch of interceptions because you're throwing the ball more, then you're taking away those 3,500 yards are more meaningless.
Jalen Hurts' 3,600 yards might have been the most important 3,600 yards in 2022 because
Right.
he did it throughout the entire year, that year playing great football. Okay. That was what we're talking about with yards that matter versus 5,000 yards. This guy was an 800-yard rusher, 3,600 yards passing. Everything was effective. Okay. Well, when you start dissecting that up, going either or, I mean, you've got to really, I mean, they took the ball out of the kid's hands. They got to put the ball, I don't know, more into his hands. And I don't know if you're doing that when you're taking a tight end out of the building.
No, but even when the passing game was when it was clicking its best, Goddard was involved. Think about it. What were our best passing games of the year? Pittsburgh in the regular season. How about Cincinnati? I think we had a good passing game versus Cincinnati. And then the 2 playoff games, the Commanders and the Super Bowl.
Let me tell you this, the game that made me know you guys were real was Baltimore. The Baltimore game
Baltimore,
made
we
me go
ran
like
all
this.
over them. Baltimore, we ran all over them.
Baltimore, I went like this. Okay, that team's now.
All right, see, ready though? Let me give you this.
That was the game I went, yeah, that's Baltimore there, man. I don't know.
Let me give you this, though. All right, and I'm going to check the Bengals game next. But the Pittsburgh game, you remember the Pittsburgh game. Everybody was crying about the passing game. That was the game after A.J. Brown said, we're not passing the ball. And Jalen Hurts came out at the end of it and said, is that what y'all wanted to see? Because we always has to tell the media when they're wrong. That was that game. Dallas Goedert didn't even play that game, okay? A.J. Brown had 110. Devontae had 109. Kenny Gainwell had 40 yards, and Calcaterra had 22 yards with 1 catch. So that's one passing. Like, I don't think this passing game thrives based on the tight end. I know he was a big part of the playoffs, but like if you're looking at where is the expendability, same thing with the Bengals game where Devontae was your leading receiver. AJ was 85, 84 respectively. Calcaterra had 58 yards. Goddard wasn't even in the 2 best passing games of the regular season.
Okay.
Goddard didn't even play the 2 best games that we had where we passed the ball to win. The Bengals and the Steelers. Now, he was good in the Commanders game, I believe, in the playoffs. He didn't do much in the Super Bowl. Let me look at the conference final. AJ was your leading receiver in that game. Dallas Goedert did have 7 catches for 85 yards. So that's the one game that Goddard was a big one. But you look at the 2 best passing games of the regular season, if we're talking about you need more from the passing game, Goddard wasn't even a guy.
Yeah. Yep.
That's probably why they're viewing him as expendable. Now, you're not wrong. They're losing a good player. But maybe the Grantster, Calcaterra. Maybe he's got it, Sills.
You want to hear some little birdie sent me an email just now?
Oh, really?
Couple takeaways from today's camp.
Ooh, let's hear the birdie.
Okay.
Phil, come on, we got Cole coming up. I got to go.
Oh, man. Here, okay.
Bro.
Okay, hang on here. Check it out. So here was, what did Clint say here? Here's the O-line. Miles Hinton at left tackle. That Lincoln Vaqueja, left guard.
That Vaqueja or whatever it is, yeah.
Drew Kendall at center. Holland Pierce at right guard. Cameron Williams at right tackle. That's how they lined up when it came to helmets and shorts. So that's how they lined up. Jihaad Campbell was wearing number 30 out there. He did not have a helmet. And he didn't participate in practice. So he was just out there today with the rookies. Hinton played both the left and right tackle today. So they moved them across the board. There were a few throws by Kyle McCord. He goes, hey, Sills, this guy can play. Okay. Porter's got a chance to chat with, oh, by the way, they were all over. Drew, what's his name? They were all over Makuba.
All right,
they
let
were
me see.
all over.
Wait, by the way, let me just plug one thing. 6 p.m. tonight, coming out of the Sileo show, we're going to have me and Johnny Mac. John was down there today for rookie minicamp. So Johnny Mac will give us the update on what he saw down at rookie camp. It was open to the media today, and tomorrow is closed to the media. So we won't get only state-run media tomorrow for the
the NFL and their state-run media.
Yeah, especially the Eagles. Good night.
All
right, Sales. Appreciate it, brother.
You think Cole's state-run media? You know, he went to Stanford. You know, they got –
Cole's not state-run media.
All
right, I'm out of here. See you, dude.
All right, man. I appreciate it.